so far totals for 2022, we're at 1,465 calls for service. So that's 13% of our time we're spending out here on calls for service. Just some ideas on some calls. Again, not only do we get dispatched through the police department, we get dispatched through 311. It may be emails that Danielle and I receive that we forward on to rangers. It could be park maintenance supervisors or superintendents calling us about stuff. It could even be Mario. Sometimes people decide to bypass all of us and go straight up to the top, and that's fine. That's why we all have emails. And so, it trickles down pretty fast, and we try and address it as best as we can with what we have. So kind of with that, I'd say...
We have copies of these stats as well.
If anyone wants, we brought copies.
Yeah, if anyone would like to take a look at these statistics that Robert just covered, we do have copies available that you can kind of look at more in depth. And with that, I think we'll turn it back over to Mario.
Does anybody have any questions? Do you guys want to do questions?
Absolutely, we'll take question. And the first question I'll answer is yes, we're hiring. We're hiring for summer, we're hiring for career positions, and happy to take your other questions that you may have.
I have a question. I'm part of a walking group that meets at 7:30 every morning over at 18th near 14th, or 18th Street and 14th. And we really enjoyed the pedestrian walkway that the city rangers provided during COVID. And we would really love to see that come back. I mean, it just doesn't seem like there's that much traffic in the park at that time of day, and to have a whole lane dedicated to pedestrians was really nice, kept us safe. I would like to see it back.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Unfortunately, that was a temporary grant-funded program that we were able to bring that program here to the park, and we know it was well received and well liked. We have talked. I am aware that it was a well liked program, but again, the funding for that program is no longer available. But we're going to continue.
What funding is needed, or how do we get funding again?
So that's something that we're looking into, right? But I think you were talking about the Slow Streets program, right? The pilot Slow Streets program, and it was a bunch of equipment that had to be put out and taken up, and that sort of thing. So cones, yeah.
It was just cones, and they were left there 24/7.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like that would be that expensive.
So the reason why it was easy during that time... Okay. I'm not used to the mic, sorry. The reason it was easy during that time was that was 2020, when pretty much everything was shut down, and everybody was encouraged to go out to the parks. So we were able to do that and keep those out there for a good period of time, because we weren't having any special events. Now that everything's kind of open with special events, that means there's a cost of putting it up, taking it down every time there's any kind of special event, or if the car club's going to be out there, we got to take it down because they're going to need that space for any kind of events they have, or anybody else has a run, a bike. So that's the additional cost now versus during that period of time.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any more questions?
I know sometimes when there's special events, they'll close off some of the gates in the Panhandle or over here when there's like a bike race going on. And over by Tiny Tots, there's not a gate. And so to close it off, there'll be a couple of rangers posted up there. Would it be helpful to have more gates so those officers don't have to stay there and physically block the intersection?
Sorry.
Potentially, however, the traffic plan goes through our traffic department. We also coordinate with PD. There's a lot of coordination that happens with each one of these special events. They all have a different footprint that they go through. Gates, they're a double-edged sword sometimes, and it's sometimes difficult to manage them, and having a proliferation of gates can make it a little bit difficult. I don't know if you want to add to that.
So a little history. like Danielle, I've been on 22 years, my whole time as a park ranger. When I first started, we actually had gates over there. And at one point, one of them got crashed into, and so they removed that. So when we put in the work order, at that time we were denied, and they ended up saying, no, we don't need gates here anymore. We don't need that. So they removed both sides. So I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it was, but I do know that a long time ago we did have something there. It was similar to North Sutterville and 19th is, you know how there's those gates, the gates that there's enough space for where you can walk in and bike in, but still kind of close it off to traffic. It was that version that we had out there at one point.
So I have a question. So what we've noticed, a big problem Saturday nights or Sunday nights, especially during busy weekends, we're starting to call it the witching hour. Usually around 4 o'clock is when a lot of problems start happening, especially around the Panhandle, but throughout the park. Speeding, donuts, all kinds of weird stuff happening. And from what I understand, park rangers leave around 2:30. No? Okay. So what I want to know, what kind of schedule, like how can you, have you talked about looking at your schedules and on specific busy weekends, you know, like having some overlap or having somebody there until like around 6 or 7 o'clock, or working with SAC PD or something like that, because that's when the biggest problems are happening. And we understand you have over 230 parks in Sacramento, but since this is one of the few regional parks, this gets a lot of, you know, a big population, right? So I guess that my question is, have you been sort of looking at new strategies to deal with the things that are happening right now that are causing problems in the park, usually around 4 o'clock and after?
Sure, and I can let Danielle and Robert talk a little bit more about their schedules, but we've been talking about that a lot. And one of the things Robert mentioned is that we receive requests for services from all different, you know, ways, emails, 311. And I need, if it's one thing you take away from this evening, is to use the 311 way of calling in those issues that you're facing, because what that does is helps us to have one unified database where we can use that data to determine where best to allocate our resources. We know where the hotspots are based on that data. That will help us to adjust our strategies and be able to deploy our resources a lot better. Unfortunately, you're right, it's a lot of park acres to cover with a limited number of people, and that's what we've been doing. We've been doing a lot better job at mining that data and figuring out when are the times, when are the issues, when are we getting the most calls, so that we can deploy and be a little bit more proactive in terms of being out there and being present when the issues are happening. I don't know if you had to add to that schedule.
So yeah, that was a misinformation, I think, as far as time goes for park rangers. Our maintenance staff, I believe you're off at 2:30 still, correct? For now. So that's probably where that 2:30 time came from. Our staff starts at 6 a.m. We're end of watch at 10 p.m. So again, just, you know, going over a typical Sunday, which is our, you know, one of our busiest days. I have 2 staff that come on at 6 a.m. My second 2 come on at noon. So we have about 3 hours, give or take, of overlap. Yes, this is a regional park. Please keep in mind that we do have half a dozen regional parks throughout the city, and as busy as this park gets, the rest of them are just as busy. So we do have obligations to special events. That's something that, you know, you might see this year, you know, less frequent park rangers just kind of in and about the park. That's because we did have, for the last 2 years, a significant lull in those events. Now that, you know, we're kind of on the tail end of this COVID thing, you're just seeing an influx of, you know, again, I sit on the special event review board. I'm having 3 to 4 meetings a week reviewing different events. So it's a very stacked weekend. And again, these things do require, you know, even if we wanted to stagger times, you know, say we want to bring our day shift guys in at 8 a.m. There's a high probability that we will have a special event that requires something to be done at 6 a.m. So when we kind of selected our shifts, you know, going back and, you know, to the origins of this division. We did kind of mirror SAC PD's scheduling. Obviously, we don't have a graveyard schedule or shift, but another consideration that went into that as well was that we do have, especially on the weekends, assistant rangers who are out at very early times of the morning distributing park permits throughout the city. So if they happen to run into an instance where they need, some type of support, if they have an irate subject, if they have, any concern, that's where our ranger staff is, they come in to support them as well. So that's the issue that we have with our staggering schedules.
Okay, well, thank you very much. LPCA will be happy to spend some more time with you and look what we can do to also advocate for you. Like, for instance, you obviously need more staff. There's got to be ways to collaborate, some way that the community can sort of speak to the city and push for more resources for you. That's something that we can do to help you make your job easier. So hopefully we can do that in the future. Does anybody have anything else to say? Or
I think we had a question up here, but I also want to mention we do ride-alongs as well, like the PD does. So if anyone would like to do a ride-along with a ranger, just to kind of get a sense of what their day is like, you can do that as well.
you could do a ride-along with a ranger for the day? Ooh,
Email me. I'm happy to
okay.
set that up for you. Did you want to say something?
Okay, in getting your brownie points for that slow street movement kind of thing, I would like to add on, in that section of the park, there is no place for strollers. I used to use a walker. I couldn't walk over that. Strollers, bicycles aren't supposed to, but there is no walkway over there. But on the other hand, a lot of people don't know that they're not supposed to be walking over there because it's golf course property. So I would like to advocate, and we had met with the golf course before, about marking better where the golf course property golf course property is, so that people aren't taking their walks along there or taking their strollers or whatever.
Thank you. Noted.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much. We have one more. Oh, we got a question.
Just to the ranger staff, if there's anything that we, the car club community, could do out there, because we're usually hanging out here on Sundays, just please let us know, or we can communicate that and figure something out. That way, that can help with some of the stuff that Chris is talking about as well. We can't make anyone do anything, but the group of gentlemen here, we have a pretty good influence within our lowrider community to where we can at least spread the message.
I love that.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. And thank you, Mario Lara and Daniel Luther and Robert Conroy and everybody here.
And the newbie.
Yes, sorry. We really appreciate your time. Okay, so it's been a long night. We have one more. We've got Devin LaVelle. He is the D7 Parks Commissioner. Sorry.
No worries. Thank you for having me. How are you guys doing tonight? All right. I know you guys have been here a while. It's really awesome that we've got so many folks out here. About 50 people out here giving up their evening to talk about the community, and that's a really cool thing. So my name is Devin LaVelle. I am the Parks and Community Enrichment Commissioner for District 7, appointed by Councilmember Rick Jennings, and at the moment I also am the chair of the commission citywide. So, let's see. Thank you, Christina, for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here. Like I was saying, community associations are a very cool thing to me. I was actually one of the co-founders of the Pocket Greenhaven Community Association a number of years ago, and you guys were one of the groups that we looked to in terms of kind of modeling what we should be doing and when we were forming the group. So, you guys are well known around the city. You do great work, and I'm very happy to be here. And so you just heard from Mario Lara and our rangers and our newbies over there, of course, too. They really do tremendous work for the city, and kind of to get to the point that Christina was kind of getting to. Well, we have, they stole a few of my talking points, but we have 12 or 13 rangers at different levels on staff to cover our 200 plus parks, 4,000 plus acres. I personally have told council, in my opinion, over and over again, that's not enough. They haven't listened to me so far, but you guys are kind of lucky to sort of have 2 council members right now, so tell them, let's get some more. I've told Rick, and I know he's generally supportive on the topic, but you know, the more people he hears from, the more people Katie hears from, the more likely we are to get these service levels to where we want them to be, and where they can really be more proactive, have the time and resources to form the relationships that stem off misunderstandings before they happen and so forth. And so that's just one little point I wanted to make real quick. So let me tell you just a few things about myself. Devin LaVelle. My wife Fiona and I have lived in the Pocket Green Haven neighborhood since we were married a little bit over 9 years ago. We have 2 boys, Henry and Charlie. They are my park inspectors. They help check out the parks and help me clean them up. They both have taken to stealing my trash grabber and finding trash whenever they can as well. Henry is very active in his local youth sports. He just finished up his T-ball season, where I helped coach his T-ball team, and he's played soccer for several years. And my youngest, Charlie, is going to start his first season of soccer in the fall, and I'll be coaching that team. And I've been so busy this spring, and I can't, just a little overwhelmed what it's going to be like when both boys are playing sports all the time. So that's that's my life right now. But coaching youth sports is really something I've loved and enjoyed. Just running around with the kids, being silly, helping them kind of learn to enjoy physical activity, being out at the parks, being on teams, and just having a great time. And it's something that I've really enjoyed. So before I moved up to Sacramento, I grew up in Oakland, kind of before the .com transformation there, and that really colored the way I think about a lot of these things, because the safety in parks is something that we have. Our parks in the Pocket Green Haven neighborhood are generally very safe. The parks here in Land Park pretty safe too, but that's something that I definitely did not experience as a kid. I one time got jumped while I was playing roller hockey in a park. The ballpark I played Little League in, we were taught to hit the ground whenever we heard gunshots, and that was something that came up from time to time. So that's not something anybody should experience. It's not something kids should experience, most of all. And so that's why I really appreciate our rangers, our police officers, our neighborhoods that keep everyone on their toes and watching out for anything that might threaten the safety that we all deserve. Let's see, and moved up to SAC here in the mid-2Ks, went to Sacramento State for grad school, and I was recently named the president-elect of the Alumni Association there. Do we have any alumni here? Just 2? Any more? Are you guys members of the Alumni Association? We made the membership free a couple of years ago, so I hope you'll head on to the website and get joined up. Sorry, a little diversion there. So that's everything I wanted to cover there. And so let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
What does a parks commissioner do, and what do you do for us, or what would we call you for?
Okay, yeah, please. So what does the Parks Commissioner do? So that's kind of a nebulous question, and it varies. It sort of varies a lot from one commissioner to the next. The technical responsibility is to provide recommendations and advice to the council, review the master plan, review complaints and other issues that come up, have an annual workshop on the budget, and then meet with neighborhood associations and park user groups, as well as encouraging individuals, businesses, and community groups to contribute funds, property, and volunteer services to our parks. So that's the technical definition, what you'll see on the website. Most of what I spend my time as a commissioner doing are two things. One is holding volunteer days in our District 7 parks. Let's see, I've been on the commission for about 4 years now. I finished up an incomplete term at the end of the last term, and then we're about 3 years into this term, so it's just over 4 years I've been on the commission. During that time, I have held about 40 volunteer days and brought out about 3,000 volunteers into District 7 parks to do the kind of work that your Land Park Volunteer Corps does right here, and just helping, caring for the trees, picking up trash, planting trees. We painted the restroom, the skate park, and the backstop, and a bunch of other fixtures at Reichmuth Park this last weekend. So things like that. That's what I spend the largest share of my time doing. The second largest share of my time is just interacting with folks from the community like you guys, hearing input, hearing complaints, hearing suggestions, hearing whatever y'all are thinking about parks. I'm here to listen and be helpful in any way that I can. And then also once a month, hang out with Mario for a couple hours and have our commission meeting. That's on the first Thursday of every month. If you ever want to join us, we are there to listen and share. She sent me a few questions ahead of time. And term is 4 years. It aligns with the city council term, so most of us are appointed by the council member or the mayor, and so our terms align with their terms, and there's a couple at-large positions and a new youth commission as well. What type of hours are available? I don't know. It's all flexible. I have one thing that's important to know. This is basically something I do for fun. It's not my job. I have another job that's I do policy research at the California Research Bureau, which is part of the state library. But luckily my job is pretty flexible. So I can help talk to people whenever I need to. But yeah, it's all flexible. Shoot me an email, and we can set up a time to talk or go by email or whatever. And that's good coverage for these questions, I think. And I have cards if anybody wants a card to get in touch with me about anything, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Anybody have a question? Great, that's fine. Thank you so much.
Mario and the team covered most of it.
Yeah, you covered everything that she asked you. So we have